Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. This is John, and today I have a review of the Kitefin for you. Before I get into the knife, I'll show the packaging it came in. Here's the pouch. It says made better. There's their website, weknife.com, and inside is a pretty big microfiber cleaning cloth, plus I think it came with some stickers, which I already put on my Pelican case knife box. So, on to the actual knife. This is the Kitefin. There's a bunch of different variations, but this is just the plain gray titanium. No milling, nothing special, just nice and plain. And I think we can just jump right into the specs while I show some different views of it. Actually, let me clean the blade off. There we go. It's a little dusty. So, overall length, 7.49 inches. Blade length, 3.24 inches. I don't know if they're actually, they're pretty close to those measurements, but I feel like maybe they were just trying to get it under 3.25 inches or 7.5 inch overall length just for regulations maybe. But blade thickness, very thin, 0.1 inch. Handle length, 4.25 inch handle. Handle thickness, 0.38. Very thin for a handle thickness, especially for a tie frame lock. Weight, 2.88 ounces. The other versions, they had some that I think they had 2 carbon fiber scale ones, which were down to the low 2 ounce mark. And then the other ones were a little thicker titanium. They didn't have this chamfer all around the edge, so they might have been closer to 3 ounce, but this specific version should be about 2.88 ounces. Blade material, S35VN. It does say it, but yeah, you can barely see it down in there. Pretty hard to tell, but very nice and sterile blade. Tie handle, like I said, spear point blade, hollow ground and satin finish. You can see kind of the vertical machine satin on there, and then a horizontal satin on the flats. Very nice look. Plain edge, obviously. Pocket clip, left hand or right hand tip up only. So, just like we like. Of course, it is a frame lock. And there you can see the pocket clip, some of the hardware. Now onto some of the design. So it comes with ceramic bearings. I believe a ceramic detent also. So it runs smooth, flips great. Very thin, very basic looking. Nothing really jumps out at you. Here you can see the jimping back there on the flipper. A little bit of gunk in there, but very nice jimping. Grips your finger and shape of the flipper, I guess, in general. But very nice jimping. Grips your finger. Not very rough, but just enough to do the job. Jimping back here on the back of the blade. There's also jimping right here on the lock bar. In the pictures, it kind of looked a little rough. I was wondering if it was going to be too rough and kind of not be comfortable to unlock, but nah, you don't really feel it. A little relief there to help you get in this super thin handle and thin blade. Tie hardware all around. You can see it is gold anodized on this model. Big hardware too. I believe that's a T8, which is awesome because I hate T6. T6 right there on the pocket clip, it looks like. But T8, even on this, which usually is a little tiny screw on most knives, but nice big T8 hardware right there with a pivot collar around it that's nicely machined. And then here you can see the pivot, which is nice and polished and flashy on the highs and darkened or black on the low. You can see this over travel stop is like a blackened steel. Not exactly sure why they would do it, because just regular steel would match a lot better, but it is black. Nice finger choil right here in front of the flipper. It is a little thin at the front just because it's a super thin blade, so when you're getting kind of close to the grind, it's pretty thin in there, but still pretty comfortable. Not really worried about going up too far and touching the blade, but for close-up cuts, definitely feels good. And that over travel stop, lock bar, insert, all in one, so you can see it extends past there, so it keeps you from overextending. The pocket clip is fairly deep carry. You only show about that much out of the pocket when you're carrying it, so nice and deep carry if you like that. The screws are countersunk down into the pocket clip, but the pocket clip is raised up off the handle. I haven't really noticed my pocket getting stuck on it, but it is something that if you have thick jeans or something, then it might get stuck on that little bump there, but hasn't really been a problem to me. Tie back spacer back there, nice little chunk. Lanyard hole right there for it too, going through both back spacer and the handle. And this pocket clip is flamed like a Strider. So if you've seen a Strider pocket clip, I should have brought mine down, but I have a flamed one. So they pretty much just take like a torch, I think, and just the super fine tipped torch and just wave it back across. And then they polished out those little countersinks in there. And it is a titanium spring clip, but very cool looking. Definitely don't mind that design, especially on such a plain knife. Very plain, gray, a little bit of gold, a little bit of black, and then this kind of grayish, greenish, even maybe a little blue matte pocket clip. I think it matches pretty well, or at least is a nice little accent piece to it. And now on to the pros. So obviously, one pro is that it's sharp. It came super sharp. You can see the sharpened edge. It almost reminded me of like a Gavco edge, where it is that secondary bevel is super tiny, especially up here at the tip. That is a tiny little bevel. Let me show. Here's my little comparison knife, which is completely disgusting, but you can see how high that grind is just on the sharpened edge compared to this little tiny like micro edge. But it is a super thin knife, 0.1 inch thick blade. So, see if I can focus in on the paper. Super easy slicing. So, obviously it's a good thing that it came sharp. Very slicey too, because with a nice thin blade, it doesn't really get caught up on any cardboard or anything, just slices right through it. It is very light, 2.88 ounce for this version, even lighter with the carbon fiber, but a super thin, super light carry. In shorts, you don't really notice it. I have super light shorts on right now because it's been hot out lately, and you don't even really notice it. In jeans, you definitely don't notice it. You don't think you're carrying anything at all, so that's definitely a plus. It flips great. It's pretty smooth. It's nothing major because the blade is so light. You're not using that momentum or gravity to really pull it down, and it doesn't really swing itself shut. But flips great even despite not having that weight flinging it out. So definitely a good detent, good bearings, nice and smooth. No problem there. It seems very high quality. It's a Wee knife, so I think pretty much every Wee knife is pretty high quality. They're pretty highly regarded in the Chinese knives. I mean, they're not up there with Riot or anything, I don't think, but some of their knives do get way up there in the $300 or $400. So definitely good knives, and this is no exception. T8 hardware, like I said, definitely a big plus, just because I'm tired of stripping T6 screws. And if you saw the last video where I was talking about Wee knives customer service, well, that was one of the problems. The T6 screw on their pocket clip stripped out. So T8 all around except for this pocket clip, which the problem with that last knife was that the pocket clip was part of the, I don't know, kind of like a load-bearing screw in there. These ones you can see they just go right in the titanium. They don't go all the way across or anything and hold the knife together. So no big deal there. Fit and finish is great. Nothing ever seemed wrong about it. I carried it for a few weeks now. For the first week I had it, I carried it for the whole first week. Nothing really beat it out of the pocket. So centering there is perfect. Lockup is great. There you can see that lockup. So very nice there. Cons, it might be too thin. I don't know. When you're carrying it, I'm not going to go cut a tree down with it, but definitely a little thin. Even in the hand, it feels a little thin. Nothing major, especially if you're looking for a light knife, but compared to some big chunk like a Kaiser GPB1 by John Gray, like those are going to be a little more comfortable. Big rounded titanium or something. So a little thin. There's also a hot spot on the clip where this protrudes. It's pretty steep, curves up, then curves back, and it's just a little bit of a hot spot. You can feel it in your hand, especially with the knife being so thin. You can feel it right in there. I don't really care too much, but if you don't like those hot spots on pocket clips, you'll notice this one, especially if you're using it all day. It might kind of dig in after a while. There's also a sharp spot, which a lot of knives have. People really need to start paying attention to this, but right here, that's a pretty sharp spot. Right next to all this smooth stuff, you have your smooth where the flipper kind of meets the frame, all this smoothed out, and then this super sharp spot right there. You can hear my nail digging into it. And you can see it even shaving off. So I don't know why they don't chamfer that more. Like you can see the rest of that lock bar cut out. Looks like it's chamfered, but up there they stopped for some reason. So hopefully in the future people start realizing that. Clip retention is pretty strong. If you do have thick jeans, it is a little hard to go in there, especially if it gets caught up on that bend right there, but a little tough to go in. Most of my pants are pretty thin, so it hasn't really been a big deal, and I kind of just know to, if I have a thick pair of jeans on, just pop it up a little bit, but a little tight on the retention. That's really all I can think about it that is bad. Everything else I love. It is a great knife, and kind of the final judgment is it's a great full-size knife, 7.49 inch overall length. So for being that big and only 2.8 ounces, it's great. I mean, I'd rather carry this than like a Benchmade Bug Out, and that's kind of in the same category of thin, lightweight knives. So I definitely like this one more. And super slicey if you're looking for something just to cut boxes or be your little letter opener or something. This is the knife for you. I will pull out the PM2 again so you can see the size. Paramotor 2, this is a really dirty Paramotor 2, but they're lined up pivot to pivot. You can see smaller handle on the Wii knife, but the blade is pretty close to the same. Sharpened length is pretty close to the same there too. They both have full-sized finger choils, so pretty comparable there. But here you can see thickness, being a tie frame lock and not having any G10 line or G10 scales or anything, you can see it's thinner, plus a super thin blade compared to the Paramotor 2. And then another Wii knife, I have the Degnan Imrose somewhere around here. Ah, here it is. This is the Degnan Imrose, also made by Wii Knives. So you can see a little more comparable. Handle thickness, blade thickness, those are pretty similar. Pretty similar look on the grinds, same type of machining and everything. So pretty similar there, and similar fit and finish on both of these. Both amazing. Both perfectly centered, so there's a little comparison. Now my final thoughts. I got this for 135 bucks. It went down on sale from about 156 to 160. I think that's what the original price was. So during Father's Day, they had a little 15 or 20% off or something, I think. It went down to 135. I think for 135, amazing deal. Titanium S35VN, perfect quality, definitely worth 135. At 160, I don't think I would have bought it, but it's definitely worth 160. If you're looking for a Wii knife and you don't want to spend the 200 or 190 bucks like the other entry-level Wii knives are, and you want something a little better than a Civivi knife, then 135 up to 160, definitely not too much for it. Just more than I would have just immediately jumped on it. So once I saw the price went down to the 135, I knew I had to have it. Couldn't resist it. So definitely worth the money at either of those prices. A nice little entry-level Wii knife, because this is the first actual Wii branded knife I have, because the other one is the Drop branded knife. So that's pretty much it. Kind of a long review, but there was a lot of stuff to cover on this knife. If you want to see what I said about the Wii Knives customer service, which is also kind of a reason why I bought this, once they kind of fixed my situation and took care of me there, I thought, well, if I see a Wii knife come up at a good price, I'm definitely going to buy it just to have one of their knives. So this was definitely a good one to get. So check that video out. Don't forget to check out the other videos on my channel. Like and subscribe to help it out. And thanks for watching. See you next time.